Okay, so good evening, everyone, wherever you are. I'm really excited that you're here and you took the time to be this evening on Thursday. I know that I sort of like put this together not long ago, but it's good that you're here. If you're here, maybe you're ready to receive the energy, the information, the consciousness, whatever is here for you. I hope you can absorb as much as you can. So energy, the language of the universe. As always, I usually start with a disclaimer. Everything that I share in my workshop, if you've ever been in one of my workshop or classes before, I always start this way because my workshop classes, whatever I share in social media is based on my own personal journey and my own experiences in this reality. As always, I will always encourage you to go and find more information, listen to books, listen to other people, follow your intuition and your inner guidance. These are no rules set in stone. I always encourage you to just go and find, investigate, and find more information. The purpose of my teachings are always to empower you and give you just knowledge. I also wanted to acknowledge Access Consciousness creator, which is Dr. Dane Hare and Gary Douglas. Thanks to their teachings, I do the work that I do, and thanks to them, I am who I am today. So I always like to acknowledge that. And just as a start as well, I start clearing the energy of this workshop. I use one of the Access Consciousness tools, which you will learn by the end of this workshop. These presentations, you'll know what I'm talking about. For now, I will just allow yourself to listen and just receive and try to let your mind on the side. It's not about thinking, it's about perceiving, and you will learn why. If you want, you can close your eyes. If not, you're welcome to read it. Every projection, expectation, judgment that you have about this workshop, about perceiving energy, about concepts, about energy, about learnings, about consciousness, everything that is related to that, let's destroy it and create that. Right, wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all night show, boys, poets, and beyonds. That last sentence is the clearing statements of Access Consciousness, which I use in my work to clear energy. For many people, this sounds like a crazy phrase, and that's exactly what we do. We want to bypass the thinking mind to work with the energy. Okay, so what are we doing tonight? I divided this little workshop in different parts. Everything just sort of like going to flow, but this is just for you to have an understanding of what we're going to be talking about. There will be a little intro, then I'm going to give like a general energy one-on-one. Then we're going to dive into metaphysics, frequency and vibration, what is the different about them. Then we're going to go about electromagnetic waves, where they are, how to find them, what is this thing, then how to increase your frequency, you can apply different tools and techniques that are going to give you in your everyday, and about how can I support you as well. And in the end, we're going to have some question and answers section. So for now, I will ask you to just grab as much information as you can. If you wanna screenshot any slide, you're welcome to do it. If you have any questions, please just write it down in a paper or your phone. And then at the end, let's just talk about that. All right? Cool. So let's start. So this is me. I'm Vanessa del Castillo. I'm Peruvian born, Australian, currently living in New York City. A few years ago, it's going to be like about 6 years now, I experienced a profound, very deep spiritual awakening. And since then, my life started changing and transforming. I went into a big inner healing process, ego death, shadow work, a lot of stuff I did. And in that path, I found consciousness, I found energy, I found access consciousness. And thanks to my path, I do what I do right now. That was back in 2019. And yeah, so things keep transforming exponentially, started slow. And I feel like as my consciousness increases, more changes happen. Then I created the light arts, that's my business, in late 2022 and formally launched last year in October. So you can say it's like a baby business still. I'm an energetic and change facilitator. I do womb healing and I also do freelance branding. I call myself a branding doula. I create branding for other people. If you didn't know, I used to be an art director and a creative designer before I dive into these holistic practices. So this is something that I still do. All right, so what is energy? If you follow me on Instagram, if you follow other people that talk about this, you realize that we're always talking about energy. Different ways, different words, but essentially it's the same. Every day in our life, we're talking about energy, perception, what it is, what it involves, how it changes, how it transforms. You might have your own ways of thinking what it is, but today I'm going to try to explain to you more concepts. So energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be transformed from one way to another way. This is what it means. Later on, you will know what we refer to moving or changing, transforming the molecules. Energy can always be transmuted, transformed, evolve, but it cannot disappear. You can just grab something and transform it, and it will become something else. Now, I would like you to think about something that exists, but you cannot see. I mean, nowadays in the modern times, it's pretty easy to think of those. A few years ago, it was a bit hard. People didn't think, but it's essentially sound waves, our voice, radio, Wi-Fi, EMF, Bluetooth, mobile, antennas, everything, included energy and energy fields that they don't, they exist, but we cannot see them with our naked eye. At least I can't. I'm sure there's people that can around the world, but it's everything that is around us, everything that we cannot see, but it's there. Now, this quote is really cool. I really like it. It's from Star Wars. Obi-Wan Kenobi saying, "The force is the energy field created by all living things. It surrounds us, penetrates us, it binds the galaxy or the universe together. So everything is intertwined." I would like to add here that it's all living things that have an energy field, but also objects. Because a lot of people, when you think about energy, you think, oh, everything that is moving has energy. You know, if you can walk like or grow like a plant or an animal or a person, yeah, we have energy. A thing like a phone or like a book or like a furniture, no, that doesn't have energy because it's an object. That is not correct. Those objects, they also have energy fields, especially if it's attached to the vibration of a person, of a place. But either way, if that's not the case, it will also have an energy field because as we're going to be learning, everything is made of the same molecules. Molecules are everywhere. We're breathing air, molecules. We're drinking water, molecules. We are made of molecules. Everything, even solid things around us, they are made of molecules. We just cannot see them, or they are made tighter or more expensive, and they will still be made of the same. This is when this really interesting thing comes in place, quantum mechanics. This sounds a bit like, oh my God, what is that? That sounds confusing or complicated, but it's not really. Quantum mechanics is what is based quantum physics. And the study of the quantum mechanics is basically the behavior and the nature at and below the scale of atoms. So everything under the microscope and even smaller and smaller and smaller than that. So if you're thinking about molecules, in this example, oxygen, we breathe in oxygen, we cannot see it, but we know it's there, are made of atoms. In the second drawing with the little bubbles, yellow bubbles in the middle, atoms are made of electrons, protons, neutrons, and quarks. Quarks is this minimal particle that scientists up until this point in history, they have been able to measure. It's probably more for people that believe in energy and other different things that we're going to look at in a moment, is basically pure electric charge, pure light. And that, if you think about that, everything is made of the same. Everything is light in essence. So I ask you, do you think there's really nothing when nothing is around you? Imagine you're like in a place, like a bubble, a box. It's all white. There's no windows, there's no doors, there's nothing. You think there's nothing, but you really think there's nothing? No. There's always energy. There's always things there. And this is something, just a little example, that, for example, if you heard about energy work, you will probably hear about women carrying energy from our female lineage, from our ancestors. And why is that? Because the womb, in the woman's body, there's nothing inside. It only holds a baby when the baby is growing. But if there's no baby, it's like a nothing area. But as we just said, there's always something in there. So that's why when there's space, there will be energy. And women carry energy from the lineage, from the women before them. So that was the example. Oh, sorry, I went back. Okay. So coming back to our friend Obi-Wan Kenobi, he's totally right. Everything is around us. Everything that is alive, everything that is an object, matter, it has an energetic field. So energy is essentially pure potential, where everything is created, where everything has probability and a possibility. And when I say this, everything is a probability and a possibility, is because energy at the smaller part, as we saw in the atoms and molecules, is pure potential. So when everything is pure potential, everything is still a probability and a possibility. The moment you define something, you're cutting the possibility, you're cutting the flow of energy. Why? Because when the energy is flowing, it's like rivers. Imagine rivers of colors around you. It keeps flowing and moving and transforming. The moment you define something, it's almost like it stops. It stops the flow. Or in access consciousness, for example, we call the famous POD and POC, point of creation and point of destruction, because it's the minimal place that lie when everything creates and everything is destroyed. Or in quantum mechanics, it's called the 0 point, the nothing point, when everything gets created. It's always talking about the same thing, it's just different names. Now, I want you to grab everything that I just said for the past 15 minutes and just throw it out of the window. Forget it. And why I'm saying to forget everything that I just said. Because in order to understand energy, and we're going to talk about it, you cannot think with logic. You cannot let your mind tell you what it is. Why? Because energy, the quantum, does not follow conventional logic. It is not logic. So this is when it starts the metaphysics. It changes. So we learn about Newtonian physics. It's just the body, everything that is physical. Then we have the metaphysical, beyond the body. And then the logical world, which is like back then in the mind, that's a different story. Meta means beyond physics. So it's just everything that is the body finishes here, is everything that continues. So everything that is energy. Is when people start thinking like, is there a God? Why am I here? Is this all an illusion? What am I doing? What am I doing? All these questions are related to the metaphysical physics, everything that goes beyond the body. Energy vibrates. You probably heard this a lot, like the vibes, everything, good vibes or bad vibes. Exactly. And where it comes from, because energy, when you see the atoms and things at an subatomic way. Everything is constantly moving and transforming and vibrating. You might think that that bottle is just static, but if you observe that under a microscope, it's always vibrating. That's where it comes the vibes, and we're going to start learning about that in a second. So for you to understand, energy vibrates, right, around our body. There's different layers in our aura. There's different layers, the body, the casual body. I have not memorized them, so they are like the astral body, the mental body, different bodies. Then we have energy that run through our channels within the body. And this is the meridians. If you have ever been to acupuncture session, the practitioner puts little needles in different places in your body. And this is because they're following the meridians, the energy that flows like little rivers within your body. And then there's also the energy that goes around you, like through you. That is the chakra system, which are the 7 circles in the middle here. These are just the main 7 chakras or energy centers, but there's a lot more. So just in case you wanted to screenshot, I have it there if you want to read them all. And now I want to tell you, have you heard about Masaru Emoto, Dr. Masaru Emoto, and water consciousness? Because it's super interesting. So Dr. Emoto spent 20 years of his life. He passed around 2014, I'm pretty sure. He spent 20 years thinking and investigating and proving theories about how water it's impacted by the physical realm. Our intention impact our physical realm, sorry. And he studied the molecular structure of water and how water transforms when exposed to human words, thoughts, sounds, intention, everything. So you can see, like, if you tell water beautiful things, if you talk to your water every day, I love you, you heal me, you heal my soul, the structure of the water, look under the microscope, actually changes. Look at how beautiful wisdom is, or truth, or peace, or I love you. And now see, you make me sick if someone says something, nasty, you fool, evil. It's completely erratic. And even, you can't even describe that. So that tells you that molecules transform. You can see it more in water because the molecules are more like separated, but everything gets impacted by thoughts, feelings, emotions. We're going to start learning that in a second. So what do you think water reacts like that? Because of vibration, because our voice vibrates, have a vibration. Sound has a vibration. This is a rattle, it's a shamanic instrument that vibrates. Something vibrates and the molecules travel in the air and you hear them. But it's the same with your voice, with your intention, sound, language. Everything carries a vibration. Everything that you say to people, everything that you say to yourself, especially, carries a vibration. And the molecules are always listening, paying attention. So this is a chart that I thought really interesting. So the human body vibrates at 62 to 78 megahertz. But then, for example, someone is about to die, it's only vibrating at 25 megahertz, really slow. If you are vibrating one day really high, but then you get a cold tomorrow, your vibration decreases a little bit. This is just how vibration works. Our senses catch vibrations. When we smell, perceive, see, listen, catches vibration around people, environment, places. Everything has an energy field. Over time, if you have a high frequency, listen to that. So we're talking about vibration, now we're talking about frequency. If you have a high frequency over time, it doesn't matter if you perceive a low vibration, your frequency won't decrease. Stay there because we're going to go back to that. This is just a chart for you to understand what is a upward spiral, so higher vibration like joy, empowerment, freedom, love, appreciation, all that has high vibration. And then you're thinking about downward spiral, it's everything that is not that high, like jealousy, revenge, anger. The lowest is fear, victim mindset, depression, unworthiness, guilty. All that is down. So this is just for you to understand how this vibration works. Now, thoughts, feeling, emotions carry a vibration. Like I said before, what I say, the words that I say, the tone that I use, if I'm screaming or being gentle, everything carries a vibration. And also thoughts, even though they're invisible, they also are sending a wave, a vibration. If you see this image in the background, these two guys chatting, you see there's an energetic field about one here in the body and in the mind. The other one, the same. There's one in the head, one in the body. If you think when you go to a concert, there's hundreds of people together vibrating under the same emotion, for example, love or joy, when you see the actor or the musician that you love and you're vibrating, everything vibrating high. So that's why when you go to a concert, it's so amazing, the feeling, because it creates like this vortex of energy, of high vibration. So this is the question that everyone always wants to know. What is the difference between frequency and vibration? Some people think it's the same or it's so similar or they like interchange the names, but it's actually a bit different. So vibration is something that changes depending of your environment and where you are and what's happening in your life. It's not static, it's always changing. When you say, oh, I went to this place and it had bad vibes. Why? Because the place had just a vibe that it was not so nice, not so high. And then you go to the beach and it's like, oh my God, I love the vibe. I love the beach, makes me feel so good. Nature, of course, is going to make you feel because it's joyful, it's abundant, it's fertile, it's all that. So vibration is always changing depending on what's happening in your life and where are you going. Frequency in the other side is a bit different. It's like looking at the vibration, but in a bigger picture. So it's your ability of how much you can perceive. And we're going to go back to that word, but just remember, perceive, right? So for example, if you have a radio, right? Looking like all-star radios, I guess, you're changing, like the radio station. So those are the frequency. Oh, I'm going to listen to 80s music, punk music, romantic music. These are frequencies. They're like, that's the way they are. If you then grab the radio like they used to do in the 80s, put it here, you go to the beach, you're going to pick up a different vibration because you're at the beach. That is this environment. Your radio is not going to change. You're still listening to 80s music, but your environment have changed. So then you grab the same radio, you bring it home. Then the vibration have changed again. The frequency, the radios have not changed. They're the same, but the environment have changed. So when we translate this to our bodies, vibration is something that is constantly giving us feedback, feeding us information about our environment, like waves. So how we feel about ourselves and our reality, thoughts, feelings, emotion, belief system determine our vibration. I hope that was clear. If not, you can screenshot this or read it a few times. Now, there's a catch that I added this slide last minute, but I think it's worth mentioning this information. So you see this little photo of this person with the cloud in the head. So sometimes people feel that way. So raising your frequency, if you go over a period of time, you're like vibing in love and, abundance and you feel worthy and all that. But then sometimes you feel like this cloud just pass on you and you're like, man, what is that happening? I thought I was like super high vibes. My frequency is so high. But then another cloud, you're like, again, it's like low vibes. So raising your frequency can be diminished if you refuse to see part of yourself that carries low vibration. So what does that mean? You can have an energy field that is usually good vibes, but there's something in your body, in your energetic body, that there's a bubble that holds low vibration. For example, if you, oh my God, I go to the gym and go do yoga, I go to these women's circles and I just listen journal and all these good vibes things and I feel great. But then suddenly something triggers me and I go back to when I was a child and I feel really bad. Why? Because there's something within your energetic field that there's a bubble that carries all something that is low vibes. We tend to want to raise our vibration at all costs. This is like we aim to do it. We want to have a high frequency. But then we forget to look at the parts that need to heal about us, about our past, about our relationship, children, parents, anything that happened to us. Because that bubble usually is attached to something that vibes low, like fear, sadness, grief. So if you have not looked at that bubble, that drawer that is hidden at the end, you don't want to even have a look at that. It's like under the carpet. Your frequency will increase, but at some point it won't be able to go higher because there's these bubbles, 1, 2, 5, whatever, that you're not willing to look at. You're not facing your fears. So that's why I said there's a catch, because you can be high vibes, you can be working in yourself, but there's part of you that you do not want to go there. So that's what you need to work on. So that's where is the secret, the golden key that will allow you to keep evolving, to keep transforming. That's why it's during awakenings and when you do shadow work, a lot of people are like, oh, I want to awaken, but I don't want to do shadow work. It's part of it. You have to do it to be able to evolve. So that's why I just wanted to mention this, because sometimes people say, oh, I just on good vibes and my vibration is great and all that, but I just keep going down and down. So this is just FYI. Okay. We are human antennas. And it's really funny because I went on Google and I was like, what should I put for human antennas? I literally typed human antenna and this guy appeared. So we are literally human antennas. We constantly perceiving and getting feedback and feeding to the world what we are perceiving. So when our frequency is high, as I just explained, in the totality, like not with bubbles of like low vibe, but in our totality, our energetic field is growing and growing. It doesn't matter if tomorrow we go to a place and it's like, oh my God, this place is super heavy. It doesn't matter because your frequency is high. So it doesn't matter if you perceive a low vibe, because that was just that moment. Or you went and talked to someone and the person had 100 problems and you listen to everything and you're like, my God, that's like a lot. It doesn't matter because you realize when you have a high frequency, that means that you have a higher awareness, that you are able to discern what is yours and what is not yours. What is from that place, what is that belongs to the person, and what is you, what belongs to you. I hope that was clear. So we don't feel energy, we perceive energy. There's a really fun story about Michael Jackson. I don't know where I heard it or I listened to it, but it was like when he was in his creation stage, creating an album or whatever, He used to call his producer at 2 or 3 in the morning. And you say, oh my God, why would he do that? And it's because he believed in energy, and he thought that if he was not recording that song or that music or whatever in that moment when he received the information, he channeled the information from the field, Prince was going to do it. Because it all vibes around. If you imagine, energy is like these rivers of energy flowing and constantly moving around us in our energetic field, in this person energetic field, in the other person, in that place, in that country, city, everything constantly moving and transforming. So it makes total sense that Michael Jackson would say, if I don't do it now, it would disappear. That happens to me as well. Sometimes I create reels or content in the moment. I just write it down quickly in my phone because I know if I wait later, it's gone. I won't be able to repeat the same words. I won't be able to say the same things. I'm like, oh my God, it was something similar to this, but it's not. It's gone. So that's what I mean about how we are antennas. Another interesting thing, and I put a star here because we don't feel energy, we perceive energy. And it's very, very different, the two of them. When you say you're feeling energy, if you go to a place and it's like, oh, I feel really bad, when you use that word, you owning it. It's like, it's part of me. If you perceive something that is low vibes, that you just feel a bit heavy, you don't like it, but you own it, you accept it like yours, that's feeling something. But if you come from a different consciousness, from a different awareness, you say, I'm perceiving A, B, or C. It's completely different. You are seeing it, you're perceiving it in your field, but you are not allowing your energy to change because you're acknowledging that it's not yours. If for someone else, we perceive the electromagnetic waves, aka energy. By the way, this beautiful illustration, I did it a couple of years ago because I also like to do illustrations. Okay, so does this sound familiar? You are going on in your life, just doing everything at work, and then you think, I want this to be this way. No, this really needs to happen in this specific way. Or then there's a situation, it's like, oh, I know what's going to happen. It's going to happen ABC because it happened that way 5 years ago, 2 years ago, so now it's going to happen that way. Last time, this same situation happened. So I'm predicting, right? Oh my God, this is too hard. Can I do it? I cannot do it. My dad couldn't do it. My sister couldn't do it. I cannot do it. Still predicting. I know the answer to that question or situation straight away. It has not happened, but I know the answer. I know it. Or you're thinking about someone and you say, oh, that person is coming. You already projected the full story because last time you saw this person, it happened this way. So then you say, it's going to happen the same. So what is the common thread of all this? Is that you're trying to predict something that has not happened. You're projecting stories, you're projecting your own experience in life into something that has not happened yet. You are projecting, putting an expectation out there that things are going to happen in a specific way. You're trying to essentially control a situation, control the outcome of something. And that, my friend, cuts the flow of energy every single time. And why is that? If we go back to how energy fields work, that there are these bubbles of energy that's constantly moving and flowing. If you set an expectation and you define something that this is what's going to happen, this energy that used to flow freely and vibrates at really high speed, it becomes really slow and it becomes really solid and it becomes like a concrete box. No one can move a concrete box, too heavy, literally. So that expectation that you put in something, that projection that you said is going to happen this way, it cuts the flow. Because what happened with the probabilities and possibilities that we mentioned at the very beginning of this chat? There's no possibilities, there's no probabilities, but you already define the answer. You already say it's going to be this way because I want to control it. I want this to happen this way because this is how it happened for my family. A very cool example is that sometimes I hear friends or anyone that says, "Oh my God, that's so scary." They try something, "Oh my God, that's so scary. I cannot do it." And it's funny because sometimes it just comes like a radio, it's automatic. But that doesn't come from them, come from someone else. So that's what I mean here. So this guy that is sitting here, this is what mainstream media and everything tells us, that this is the way we have to meditate. This position is comfortable for a while, but not that comfortable if you want to go for a long time. Great if you can do it, but you don't have to sit this way to meditate. You can sit, in a chair with your feet on the floor. You can lay down. Sometimes people like to meditate when they're having a bath, by walking. There's different ways. But what I mean about this, to recognize where it's coming from, the example about the family is back this field, this person that you see this shape that it looks like an apple, that is called a toroid. This is the energy field or the aura that we saw in different slides. If you see this toroid looking from the top, it looks like a huge donut. If you imagine a donut, and you're standing in the middle of the donut, that's what it looks like. It goes around like this, like a spiral. If you then remember how we talk about everything has an energy field, if this person goes around the city, you are like a massive antenna picking up the feedback that is everyone else around you is giving to you. So if you go to a place in the street and someone is screaming and being really nasty to someone or grumpy, and you suddenly walk past that person, you might pick up that vibe because you were antennas. Especially if you are an empath, someone that tends to perceive energy, either if you know it or not, if you're conscious or not, but you're someone that feels emotion very easily, perceive their surroundings very easily. Man, this happens all the time. The interesting thing is that, is it yours or is it someone else's? That was the consciousness. When you raise your consciousness, your self-awareness, you can start thinking that. If you go back to there, you have this head full of different things and things that happen. You go to work, you get stressed. This person said that, the other person said other thing, and it's like you go crazy. But then, is that yours or someone else? This is a very good question that you can start practicing in your own life. A lot of people, clients included, they ask me, "Oh, Vanessa, but I cannot stop to remember the questions." Even people that have taken the classes that I give about access consciousness and how to start asking questions, they're like, "I don't remember to ask the questions." And that's because, for example, this is me 6 years ago. I'm doing 5 things at the same time. I'm at work designing. Someone is talking to me. I'm talking to the person, but I'm designing. And then someone rings the door, and my mom texted me. I'm replying to her, but I'm also designing. And I'm thinking about tomorrow I'm going to a concert. And the next day I'm going to a brunch. And there's like 10 things at the same time. That's the mind that is screaming so loud. So if you're doing a lot of things at the same time, thinking too much because your mind is super active, how are you going to listen to your own energy, this beautiful light around this person in the middle, the universe within? if you are constantly screaming, your mind is screaming. There's a beautiful quote that says, when your mind is silenced, your soul will speak to you. Why? Because the soul, your intuition, it's very, very quiet. It's like a whisper. It's calm. So if you have your mind that is always screaming, how are you going to listen to your soul? You're never going to pay attention. You're never going to remember to ask questions. You're not going to remember to be aware, self-aware of your field, what is happening, why are you vibing, why are you perceiving this, to ask, is this mine or someone else? Another great example is that sometimes I have clients that have kids, little kids, and they said, oh my God, my kid is so anxious and they're always screaming and they're always doing so many things. And then if they're open, I perceive that they're open, I would say, do you understand how energy works? Because we feed our environment and our environment feed us as well, like this toroid. So if someone is screaming and the other one is screaming more and the other one is screaming more and the other one is screaming more. So it's like a never-ending story of a vibe that is just like this spiral is just going down, down, down. It cannot go out because you just got caught in that spiral that goes down. So just pay attention, just say, is that yours or someone else's? Next time that you feel low vibes, that you suddenly change your mood out of nowhere, it's like, what happened? It's not that I just changed. You just perceive, you just antenna, and you just went, oh my God, I perceived that. And this is not only about walking around. You can perceive energy from movies, sounds, music, people, environment. Everything is feeding us information. That's why it's really interesting when you start increasing your consciousness. A lot of people change the places that they go, the food that they eat, the music that they listen, because the vibration is different and the frequency is changing. So they require different vibration. Okay. So the mind is an energy field that is your consciousness. If you remember a few slides ago, there was two guys talking to each other, and each of them had two little bubbles, one here and one here. So our bodies have an energy field, but also our head has an energy field. And I don't mean like the head. What I mean is the mind. The mind inside has a different energy field. So the mind is this character that got created since the minute that we were born. When we were babies, we don't know how to talk. We can't even see at the beginning. So we are like tiny sponges, absorbing everything around us, absorbing the vibes, absorbing what we listen, the volumes, the intention, everything. You capture everything. And this little character start being created. And so by the time you're 7 years old, when your consciousness gets, it's like you as a little person, you already have all this feedback, this massive bag that you carry because you learn about your culture, about your country, about the ways of your family, the ways of your society. Everything that you listen and perceive, it's already with you. So that's why when you do inner work, a lot of the time you have to go to your childhood, the 0 to 7 years old, because a lot of the belief system that we have, our thoughts and emotions as adults, got created when we were children. So this is a cool graphic that I wanted to show you. One, I love it because the rainbow colors and it looks like a unicorn, but this is to understand. So what I mean by the higher your consciousness and awareness is higher your frequency. So for example, at the top is joy and excitement and peace and gratitude. That's all energy, right? Because we know it's like a wave that flows around. If we feed that emotion constantly, we're going to raise our vibration, right? Then we go to the bottom and then we feel fear. Like the example that I said before, oh my God, I'm so scared. Oh my God, I cannot do it. Oh my God, I don't know what's going to happen. Even though you're not saying the word fear, you don't say the word I'm scared, the root cause is fear because you don't do things because you are maybe the root cause is I'm afraid of failing. I don't want to fail or I don't want to disappoint people. Why? Because I'm fearful of the consequences, for example. I don't want to say this thing because I'm fearful. You don't talking about being fear or scared, but deep down, the root cause, it could be fear. So your frequency gets stronger where your consciousness increases. So when your energy field here increases, your self-awareness, you start perceiving the world around you, within you, and of others. That's when your frequency gets stronger and stronger. And that's what I meant before when I said when your frequency gets quite strong and high, it doesn't matter if tomorrow you went to a museum and it was so heavy and you're like, oh my God, my head is hurting because it's so low vibes. Doesn't really matter. You know that you're perceiving the energy there. That doesn't mean that it's yours because you know that your frequency is high. And then you go to a different place and you had a bad conversation. You even had an argument with someone. You perceive that it was just that moment, but then you go back and you bounce back quicker to your joy and gratitude. The more aware you are, the more consciousness you have, the quicker you will bounce back. You might feel depressed tomorrow, but after a day or a few hours, you're like, I'm fine again. If your consciousness is lower, it might take you many days to feel like the pain. But when you start recognizing, perceiving, you can bounce back quicker. Okay. This woman, it looks like me 6 years ago. I was like that. I was carrying nonstop, doing many things. So when we perceive that the energy is not moving, or it's actually moving, but it's moving in the same way, repeating, that you feel is stuck or blocked or heavy, or something keeps repeating and you just don't know why. Think about your perception. What are you picking up? What is happening around you? What's happening in my environment? What I'm perceiving, is it mine, someone else? Can I change the situation? Can I choose different? What else is possible? All these questions are open questions. And why do I talk about open questions? Because as we learned before, if you give an answer, you cut in the flow. It's not flowing. The possibilities, the probabilities, infinite possibilities that flow around us get cut off. When you open, you say an open question, then the energy is still flowing. What you're essentially doing is you asking the universe, you asking the energy around you all these questions, and you're letting it go. You're letting it go. You surrender to whatever happens will happen. If you are higher vibes, if your frequency is high, probably you're going to pick up those higher vibration of abundance and joy and all that because you're already there. So open questions are the key. Ask the question, but don't look for an answer. The crazy thing is that the mind always wants an answer, always wants an explanation, wants to know what's going to happen next, wants to, like a prescription, like a list of like step 1, do that. Step 2, do that. Step 3, right? And if it doesn't go according to the plan, it's like we freak out. or actually not even us, the mind freaks out. So other question to start changing your molecules around you. And when I talk about molecules, it's because molecules are around us. In Access Consciousness, we talk about turning the molecules, transforming the energy. So other questions that you can start asking yourself, asking your environment is like, what energy can I be here or there or wherever you go? Can I be an agent of change everywhere I go? What space, consciousness, and choice can I and my body be to achieve ABC, whatever you want to achieve? Because when you ask those questions, what space, you're asking, what energy, what space, expansions can I be? What consciousness can I be? Awareness, what choice can I be? You're asking, basically, you're asking out there, show me the answer or show me the money, like the movie. So what am I not noticing here? You can ask as well. Something is not changed. Like, what am I missing? There's something that I'm missing. What vibe am I missing? So these are questions that you can do in your everyday life. These are all tools that you can start using straight away after the workshop, straight away after it started tomorrow. If you want change, you want change in your mind, you want to change your mind, you need to change your consciousness. And how to change your consciousness? You change your belief systems. So belief systems is something that got created because this person decided that this is the truth. This is the truth. Okay, I believe on that. And then Mary came and said, oh, I believe that too. Okay, cool. And then George came and said, yeah, I believe that too. Okay, cool. And then all these people started believing the same thing for a long period of time. And that became a systematic belief system. Keep repeating and repeating. And so that happens a lot in families. You have a belief system, or in culture or in countries, you have a belief system that things are this way. Why? Because at some point in history, someone decided that that was the truth. And then a lot of people decided that, yes, that's the truth. And you go on and go on. When you start changing your vibration and you increase your frequency, and your frequency, as we said, the higher your consciousness, the higher your frequency, you will be in a position that you will start asking questions about your belief systems. And you will say, okay, I don't think I believe on that. No, that's not for me. That was my mom, that was my grandma, my auntie, that's not mine. And you decide to change. And how were you able to notice this? Because now you are self-aware of your energy field. Your awareness is increasing, you perceiving what's happening. Sometimes you can perceive energy from the distance, like my sister, wanted to call me, or she's not feeling nice or not feeling great. And I know because I'm just perceiving it. Sometimes someone messaged me and I can perceive the energy because, I don't know, maybe my consciousness has increased and you start perceiving other things that before you were not able to. And how can you change your belief systems? Once, start using the questions that I start in all this presentation. Open questions will help you change your belief systems. And of course, I can always support you. And this is the work that I do, or part of the work that I do. At the beginning of this presentation, I spoke about access consciousness. I do what I do, and I'm talking to this camera or this laptop because of access consciousness, because I changed my belief system that I had before that said to me, you cannot talk to people, you cannot teach things. That was a belief system. I worked with that, I got rid of it. And now I have a different belief that I can do it and people like it. So what I can offer to you is an access bar session, which is something that is done in person. And even if you're not here in New York, if you are interested, I can find people that can help you. So you can go find someone in your own city. This is a session that is in person, fully closed, and we touch the head of the person and we release the charge, the electromagnetic charge of thoughts, feelings, emotions that are stored in your mind, energy field. Like we have learned now how that works. So that's the access bars. Then there's an access bar class. I teach also the technique. It's coming up next week in Spanish. There's others in English. There's probably going to be in March, I think, but it's a one-day class. You become an international certified practitioner of the access bar. You can start giving session to friends, family, or charge and make it your own business. You receive a manual with lots and lots of tools. These are the questions that I share here are just a little bit of the great amount of tools that you receive there. Another thing that we can work together is the energetic facilitation. This is something that is verbal and virtual. I do it over Zoom, and doesn't matter where you are because it's basically an open conversation. The interesting thing about energetic facilitation is that it feels like basically you're talking to someone. The way I help people is that sometimes a person is living in this box, in this way of thinking, and you can just come and show them a possibility, show them by asking a question, the reality changes like straight away. It's like, what? So simple, I never noticed it. This is the way how someone that is looking at a box that is white, that there's no windows or doors, then suddenly changes because you work with the energy, with the molecules. You start removing layer by layer of your unconscious mind, things that you don't even remember that you believe in, and then you create change in someone's life. It's pretty cool. And then another thing that I offer, and this is more for people that feel really stressed, that they have a mind that never stops and they cannot listen to their own intuition just yet. And it's an energetic facilitation that I mix it up with mindfulness coaching. Basically, it's like an energetic facilitation, but I also split the session between tools and techniques to help you calm your mind. So yeah, if you're interested in any of that, I can tell you who to see if you're in a different country. If you want to do virtual things or session with me, I can do it. Be happy to do it. And finally, now we are in the question Q&A section. So you can open your microphone or you can just type it in the box. Yeah, I'm listening. Oh, I don't know how to see if anyone is. Oh, wait a second. Okay, so well, do you have any questions? If not, you can unmute to ask questions. If not, I'll wait a little bit, but I hope this was helpful. I hope you learned something different. I hope that this just make you think in a different way, that give you tools and questions that you can start practicing and using on your everyday life, because that's the way you start, just by asking questions. Oh, wait a second. Oh, someone is asking if I can explain a little bit more the difference between vibration and frequency. So basically, vibration, it's or like the vibes that you hear, like, oh, that was good vibes or bad vibes, or that place gave me bad vibes. So basically, vibration is something that fit us, our environment. It's like we perceive things. It's something that is always changing, because you can be at home and you feel great, it's good vibes, but then you go to the supermarket and it feels bad vibes. That's what I mean, that is constantly changing. Okay, so that's the vibration. Everything has vibration. So everything keeps constantly changing depending on where you go, depending who you see. You might be talking to someone that is low vibes, but you are high vibes. So you with this person for a moment, you feel like, oh, so sad. But then you listen to different music, and then in the same day, it completely changed. So that's what I mean by vibration is always changing. Is not fixed. And then frequency is something that is more like, it's almost like if you imagine that is like your savings account of your vibration. The more vibrations you come, your bigger picture, you feel this bubble that I explained before, it keeps increasing, getting higher and higher. This is your frequency. Over time, where your frequency gets stronger thanks to your awareness, self-awareness, your consciousness, the frequency becomes stronger because now you're able to discern between, oh, this is not mine, this is someone else that told me about their problem, and I perceive the energy, but I know that later on I will go back to my usual self because my frequency is higher. Is that answering your question, hopefully? Okay. So a lot of people get confused, including me before I learned about access. To me, it was very similar, but there are two different things. Just remember that vibration is always changing. It's not that because you feel bad now, you're going to feel bad the whole day. That depends on your discernment. When you have higher consciousness, you will understand that, oh, this is not, I'm not feeling this. I'm just perceiving something. And then you go back, it's almost like you bounce back. It's like people that are going through awakenings or they become more aware as their consciousness increases, for them it's easier to bounce back. They get sad or depressed for like one day, but then the next day they're fine again. If you are not in that state yet of consciousness, maybe you spend many days in the drama, like, oh my God, victim mindset, everything happens to me, the cloud, blah, blah, all that stuff. Over time, when your consciousness increases, then you bounce back quicker. It's like, oh yeah, I perceive that I'm feeling this way, but I know this is not my true nature. I know I'm going to be better later. I hope that answered your question. Okay. If there's no other questions, I will leave it at that. I thought this was going to be 45 minutes to an hour. Now it's like almost 10 minutes past. So, okay, you're welcome. All right, so thank you so much. I hope you use your questions. If you have any question, message me, email me. You can email me direct from the reminder or any email that you have received from me. Just reply to that and I'll get the email. Thank you so much. And I'll see you next time.